Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a long day, but we have our final panel with the good folk from Steampunk folk. Alright, so if you'd like to introduce yourselves, just pass the microphone along.
Hey guys, I'm James Murray.
I'm Karen Clark. I'm Emma Lucas. I'm Jess Kate.
Alright, nice to meet you all. So, what is steampunk?
Alrighty, cool. So I was asked about a month ago to come on this panel and stuff. What I'm talking about, I'm an author like these guys, or an amazing organiser like Emma is. So I just thought I'd talk about my journey and how I discovered steampunk and why it appeals to me so much. Okay. So here's the story. I didn't know cosplay was even a thing. I had no idea how I was supposed to start doing things like this. And I was at a thing called Relay for Life. And I wandered over to the Adelaide, not entertainment centre, where we have Comic Con, and all of a sudden there was all these people dressed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And it was Comic Con, which we of course no longer have here in Adelaide. And there was these amazing costumes everywhere. This was the year, I think there was American McGee, Alice cosplayers there, like 8-foot tall Cheshire cats and stuff like that. There was amazing stuff there. What really caught my eye that day was this one guy. And he was walking away from me. I didn't even really see his costume, but he was kind of like in this big carpet jacket, and he had this massive robotic gun-like arm. And I was like, what is that thing? I need to check this more out. So I had a Nokia flip phone in those days, so I had to find out when I got one. So I went home, and I googled up, and I probably did some really random searches, and I ended up finding out about this thing called steampunk. And yeah, I never really given it back after I looked at it the first time. And so I thought about it, this cosplay is cool, like, I do a lot of cosplay, but why do I always go back to steampunk? Why do I like it so much? And I've often dwelled on this. And why do I like the style so much? And I think this is it. There is no style with steampunk. You don't have to fit a certain style or a certain look or a certain genre. You can be whatever you want with steampunk. There's one rule, it's to really loosely base it on Victorian era. Really loosely. It could be technology, it could be the dress code we've got down here, it could be the gentleman. As long as there's sort of a nod towards Victorian era, after that you can be whatever you want. You can be a pirate, you can be a cowboy, you can be an engineer, you can be an urchin, you can be an aristocrat, you can be a scientist, a mystical creature, a modern steampunkist, a hunter, a rider of dinosaurs. You can be whatever you want if you want to go to steampunk. You can search any one of those up on the internet and you'll yield multiple results. What do you do with it? What do you want to do with it? You can write steampunk, you can costume steampunk, you can build steampunk, you can make steampunk music, you can make a movie, you can join a forum and just talk about it. You can build it, it doesn't matter. Steampunk is for everyone if you're interested in it. There's no licenses, there's no copyright, you don't need to stick to a specific genre. Me personally, I'm into the world of costuming. I suddenly started visiting the ladies section of op shops because they had the better, cooler coats. Leather begins to catch your eye, as to browns and greens and stripy things. Hats, and suddenly you know the difference between a fedora and a Panama, whereas before you just didn't even have any idea. There's so many different types of vests all of a sudden I found out. Most of them have fake pockets, which are no good for little pocket watches, so you've got to look at the style of that. You start looking at walking sticks, and then you start learning about bird suits, the self-defense and stuff. Parasols, fluffy dresses are really cool. That then took me into sewing, and I started finding out how to alter stuff and becoming quite intuitive in how to pick stuff up. So like Gerald was saying before, he found these amazing boots, so he then took them and had to get them split down the sides so they fit him, and they're absolutely fantastic boots. So I didn't really know much about it at the time, so I was like, where do I go to find out a little bit more? And I went and found this amazing place on the internet called the Steampunk Empire, which sadly last year shut down for some unknown reason.
It's still around, it's welcome to steampunk.
Yeah, I know a little bit more about that, but not quite. But there is another site called Welcome to Steampunk now. So the Steampunk Empire disappeared, and there I really did full gear. I learned I could write quite well, and I discovered this thing called literary roleplay. And I discovered literary role-playing, and I joined in with this group of people. I said, oh, can I join in? And they're like, sure, you've got to make a character. I said, okay, cool, I need a character. Alright, so this is how fast steampunk licensing would go. I wanted to be a traveller, but I wanted him to have lots of really cool gadgets, but I didn't want to wear a really big pack. So I thought, right, I'll have box walking along behind me. And I thought, nah, that's too much like the luggage from Terry Pratchett. But if I give big spider legs, it could be something. And I was like, no, because AI doesn't exist and the box will get lost. So could I have the box as part of me? Like I'll be a dwarf, but I'll be extended with a box robot stuck inside me. And then, and I thought, no, that's not really, that's going to look really weird as my character, and I kind of like science and physics, and it didn't really work. And I thought, what if I take the spider legs from the box and I put them on me? And then I could like be a guy who's fused with a spider thorax and then this big abdomen out the back made of glass that stores all my stuff in it. And for that was my character. I mentioned a guy called Dorothy Jinx, and he was this gentleman, gentleman scientist, complete genius, who had been attached to a spider by his maniacal best friend and things like that. And I wrote a whole novel about this, and this was my role play character. How long have I gone for? Keep going. Alright. So this guy then joined in, and we, our role play was a flying prison. We made 5 ships strung up on the settlements, and we travelled the world. We were a prison. We travelled the world fighting evil geniuses and dragons and pirates and 100-foot tall robots and bringing down the Emperor of China, who was a cybernetic brain basically. And that's what steampunk is. It can be whatever you want. It works. Everything works inside steampunk. The writing that we did wasn't just sort of mad, crazy fantasy. It was a work of fiction that about 10 people, we wrote dedicated chapters to this, and we still think, because I'm still in touch with them, we still think it was the best writing that we had done ever in our lives. Through just throwing stuff out and just putting stuff together. And we were all living in different parts of the world, but we could write stuff and put it all together in one place, because that's what steampunk is. It all just fits together, it doesn't matter what we write. So I'm digressing a little bit. Steampunk just fits into your lifestyle. So I started wearing vests and hats and pocket watches to school, as I'm a teacher, not a student. It wasn't a problem. In fact, the parents thought I was kind of dapper that I was wearing like this. And I left that particular school about 3 years ago. And on the last day I was there, all the students and all the teachers dressed up as steampunks. So I had kids walking around with fake moustaches and twirling walking canes and things like that, and it was one of the most fantastic things in my life. So I'm nearly done. A little bit more. So steampunk to me is really 2 things. It's the imagination, because it's boundaryless. But it has an anchor, Victorian style, but also the community. I went to a small event in Adelaide called the Time Travellers Picnic, which is still held about on the 8th of December every year. And I met some of the most delightful people I've ever met in my life. I've had a lot of people in my life with costuming and cosplay come and go since then. But the ones that are there still consider my friends. Marianne, Zena, Julia, Dallas there, David, Anne, Tom, Christian, Steve, and Catherine and Blake. And Steve I ended up finding out was the guy with the robot arm right at the start. And all these people are still wonderful friends of mine. And Adelaide had just come down from a big steampunk surge. We had Adelaide Fringe shows. I believe you were in that, part of that.
So they had like a lot for steampunk was through the Fringe, and we had a couple of those that beforehand was the usual.
And so after that, I think people got burnt out a bit. The steampunk had sort of fallen on the thing, and then it came up to another surge, and I started organising events and getting more people, trying to get more people in, and getting more on the Facebook page. And it came up again, and I'm getting a little tired now of organising events and stuff. So I've kind of gone down, and now we've got Emma, who started to bring stuff up. She's picked up the Steampunk Expo, and she'll talk more about that hopefully a little bit later. So please, if you've never heard of steampunk before, get on this page, the Steampunk SA or Steampunk South Australia, and don't let steampunk die in Australia. Join the group, attend the expo, go to events, mingle with amazing people, because steampunk is fun. It'll affect you, it'll take over your life, it'll make your brain fizz. Now for a few years, for some, people move on, interests change. I'm not totally steampunk anymore, but I still can't write anything without introducing steampunk into it. I love my goggles, and I have a huge box, well not a box, boxes and boxes of hats and wardrobe and vests and coats and belts and brass and goggles and gloves. I'll never throw them out, because for the next event I decide I want to go to steampunk. I can just go there and throw random bits together and it all just fits, because that's what steampunk is. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. So I've been doing steampunk for over a decade now, and we started doing costuming and stuff like that, and now I write it. We actually have it's the house that you decked out with steampunk. Anyway, so Brisbane's another popular place. There's also New Zealand, Uluru is one of the big places. They do a steampunk festival in June, July, and of course there's England is big. So, like everything else, it has ups and downs. And at the moment, it's down in Europe, South America, Australia, sort of more up. So, we can skip that one. Skip that one. Okay, so what the hell is steampunk? Well, some people say it's Victorian science fiction. It's not really, because Victorian science fiction is science fiction of Victorian times. And we're changing it slightly. So it's sort of, you're looking at Victorian times or other times, and you're changing it. We're using technology. So there's a few things up there. There's lots of different definitions of it, and this good thing about it is the definition changes, it's different for everyone, and that's one of the good things about steampunk, it's so flexible. So it's basically an alternative history. Next slide. Okay, so history of steampunk. Okay, so some people go, when did it start? Well, Victorian science fiction in the 1800s, and then true steampunk sort of started in the 1780s as far as books go. There was actually a TV show that started on the 17th of September 1965, which was called Wild West, which is what the movie came from. And that's pretty cool, because that's the day I was born, so that's why steampunk's making me. So in the 70s, there's some books that basically came off cyberpunk, and they wanted something different. So you have a look at that one there, and the first time steampunk was used was 1987 by K.W. Jenner in magazine, because they were trying to work out what the core genre. In the 1990s, you had another surge of steampunk, and movies started to try to take over, like Wild West and a few other ones, and Hollywood couldn't make enough money at it, so they started to drop that. And then you had the lifestyle shows and costume shows, and there was even a game show called Steampunks, which was a kids' game show on the ABC, which was really quite fun. They did all the costumes. Okay, you've got Girl Genius going Harriet, Jim Butcher, and then you've got Jason Files. Who's the Jason Files? He's actually started doing steampunk as well. When is steampunk? When do people go, oh, it's Victorian, it doesn't. It can be lots of different things. So it can be Victorian and common. Then you've got pre-diesel, so basically pre-diesel, it's both steam stuff. And usually it's commonly been the British Empire, but it's also the Asian Empire, Western America, the African continent, Australia as well. Western steampunk's a big thing. And you actually get future dystopian ones as well, like True Priest in Bone Shaker, which is sort of a popular one. So really, you can do any timeline. It's the cogs and steampunk technology that's the big thing about it. Okay, and this is probably what you want is the aesthetic. It's the person, Steve, that James was talking about before. You haven't got just costuming, because some people permanently dress in steampunk stuff, and some people actually gone back and changed all their stuff in their house to make it look steampunk. And you've got people who do music and write. There's a whole, so there's the makers fairs, makers fairs. There's a whole subculture out there that do making stuff out of steampunk stuff as well. We've actually got a couple of Australian steampunk names as well. But we get together, as James said, with the locals quite a lot, and we do different things. So we go to the next slide, which is one of my favourites. Because I like this one. It's a good way to describe steampunk as well. So imagine that Victorian age accelerated starships, missiles, fueled by coal, driven by steam, leaving history devastated and earthquake. So yeah. Okay, so next one's steampunk questions. You might recognise someone there. Do you know what that is? So, and let's say in the Iron Masters, Gerard, who did Bumblebee. So this is the thing that you can mash up as well. So I've seen Tinkerbells, steampunk Tinkerbells, Star Wars steampunk. I like Nerf punk. I've got a picture of Nerf punk. Nerf punk is basically steampunk, but in those bright colours the Nerf guns are in. Oh, wait, that's quite right. And that's the thing is steampunk is full of whimsy and fun. You can have fun, that's the big thing about it. Go on the next slide. So there's a lot of steampunk tropes. Now you don't have to do this. There's a song that actually says, don't just stick the pop on it and call it steampunk. So there's more to steampunk than just pop. But you get your brass trims and your buckles and your flying machines and your gadgets and your attractions and your guns and you've got your clogs and your goggles and your top hats. So coaches, top hats. Pocket watches are big like monocles. Really weirdly, a couple of years ago, monocles became really, really popular in the UK. People were going and getting their strips put in to a monocle. You've got ABM cats that you bring one to legs and make it look up. And then you've got mad scientists, of course, you have to have mad scientists. And secrets of society. And there's often famous people in stories too. So you might have Conan Doyle or there's Murder Mysteries, for example, it's a Canadian TV show, and they often have famous people like Mark Twain and stuff sort of inserted into the stories. Queen Victoria's often found the stories as well. And also it's alternative history, and there's a lot of Victorian time travel, a lot of Victorian time travel. This photo was taken at the Steampunk Festivals. The Steampunk Festival is in September. Emma's going to tell you a lot more about that, and she's going to be bigger and better. And this is every single steampunk except one, the second one ever, I think. So that's pretty cool. Yes. And another one, please. So if you're interested in going to events, technically you could go to an event every single month. Almost. Okay. So you've got Steampunk in Tasmania, they've got 2 different steampunk festivals. I think one 2-day one and one 1-day one. So in March you can get out to Tasmania, and then in April you can go to the Hunter Valley, they've got Steamfest there, and it's called the Iron Fest. Yeah, they have steampunk, and they have medieval, and they have just about everything, and there's usually a large steampunk contingent there as well. Capricorn is a pop culture convention in Rockhampton, and they had a big steampunk event this year, and it seems to be growing as well. The new one this year was Steampunk at Attitude, which is in the mountains, and I've got a friend of mine who's here, and she was up there and she said it would be quite good. And that's just a one-day thing, it's virtually this year. Then we went to Tasmania again, for Georgetown. There's a lot of waterworks and stuff like that, like train and things that they tend to do. So trains and steampunk are almost synonymous. And then if you like to travel overseas, this is what I really would love to go to, is the Lincoln Silent Steampunk, which is in Lincoln, UK. And it's one of the Lincoln Silent and the one in Winnipeg, I guess, in June. Probably some of the biggest steampunk events in the world that you can get. One in June is Winnipeg this year. Next year, hopefully we go, is the 10th anniversary in New Zealand next year. Then of course you've got Steampunk Festival here. And then there's the Steampunk Victoriana Fair Goulburn, that's been running for a while as well. And of course the Time Traveller's Picnic. The Time Traveller's Picnic, Victoria's Time Traveller's are people on the steampunk and it's just fun. And there's a few groups as well. I'm not sure there's a lot of some of them have got a web page, exactly. You've got Steampunk Ghostbusters featuring as well. And you wear a costume, Ghostbuster costume, and steampunk, and they have certain colours and certain things. Then you've got the steampunk costume. And yes, you've got there. There's quite a few Facebook ones too. So I'll get on that second. Next slide. So people who like to really you'll know steampunk. Well, I like steampunk as well. And there's actually quite a few Australian steampunk writers as well. So Richard Harlan, Ryan Crider, he does a whole heap here. Well, so this one's mostly Australian on this side. Ed Mabry, who wrote some steampunk in the past and stuff in front of me, again. So most of it's actually US and stuff, in Sydney and half of the year. And they have into East Africa, Tasmania, up here. And you've probably heard of people, some of you don't stand for watcher, so you've probably heard of there's a whole series of those. Sherry Priest, she's got horror as well, she's done a great job as well. And I write some stuff too, and it's just a great she knows referencing it. This one is actually set in Australia. So Felicity writes and is basically to do with the gold rush and the girl comes over on a ship that she's been in trouble with war. And we won the prize with a few prizes as well. And it's got the extraordinary. There's also a lot of overseas writers as well, and getting more into, there's a lot more writers starting to write things that aren't European. So you've got this one here, which was a Kickstarter, and a new one coming out, Steampunk Universe, which has got LGBTIQ. It's more that one there, and this one here is actually half is English and half is in their original language. So it's actually different writers around the world as well. So there's a whole heap of stuff with you, steampunk. As steampunk is huge as well. And go to the next one. Places to find information on steampunk. So I've actually, on my webpage, I've actually got a steampunk page with events and information as well. And we call this places to look at is steampunk wiki has got lots of things as well. They've got things about music and other things. So there's my page of Steampunk magazine. That hasn't done well recently. There's still a lot of stuff that you can look at. Welcome to Steampunk is the one that was before Steampunk Empire, and they had some interesting things to do with the website and the the writing group huge writing that it's really good and actually join them, and they're really supportive and asking questions. It's really cool. And then you've got Brass Goggles and Steampunk Scholar. That Steampunk Scholar is actually, he actually did a PhD on Steampunk as well, so it's a very interesting scholarly article there. John Victoriana has a lot of stuff as well. Steve had in his books, which are the connection bringers. If you want to draw, there's interesting illustrated history, goes through a lot of history, and he does movies, and has classes and things like that with Steampunk. And there's also some Facebook groups. So there's Facebook Steampunk South Australia, Steampunk Sundays, done by Sabrina as well, and she does a lot of different things about steampunk. And there's New Zealand, and they've actually New Zealand Festival page as well. And music, if you like steampunk music, has anyone ever heard of steampunk music? Steampunk, you're on. There's a whole thing, it's everything from hip-hop to jazz to swing, there's cabaret folk in there, you can get hard rock, you can get heavy metal, you can get punk, there's a whole heap of different things. So it's usually the subject matter that makes it steampunk. So and the Steampunk Hour is done by Hal Brockman, and he actually is from Lincoln. He does one every week, and you go and look at and listen to the podcast, and he plays a lot of steampunk music, and also Australian steampunk music, and he makes your best song. That's what we like. So if you go to the next one, just go to the next one. Just do that one. And then the last one. So, steampunk is fun, there's lots of stuff you can do, not just watching.
Hello. My name is Jessica. Just a little bit about me firstly. So I'm the author of a steampunk fantasy adventure comic book called Heart of Beliara. This is a webcomic that is published monthly online. We also printed it through Kickstarter, so we have printed the first issue of the comic. I'll tell you a little bit about what Heart of Beliara is about. It's basically the story of some university students who discover a relic, a fossil at the bottom of the lake, and it turns out that it belonged to a cosmic shape-shifting sea creature from outer space. And it's the source of all that creature's power, and it basically causes a lot of disruption everywhere that it goes. So yes, it's an ongoing story that we're working on. And a little bit about why I got into writing this story. So steampunk is something that I've always been interested in. I grew up really loving Victorian literature, Victorian stories for children, things like Alice in Wonderland was one of my favourite stories when I was a kid. Secret Garden, Little Princess, stories like that, Peter Pan, adventure stories. And so I really love comic books. It's something that I've always been interested in. I've been dreaming up comics since I was a teenager. So when I met the artist Yana, who's not here with me today, but she and me were brainstorming how we wanted to make a comic book together. We didn't know of any real Australian steampunk comic books that we'd seen that were sort of all ages and had, you know, female characters in the front and told the sort of story that we wanted to tell. So we decided to make that. That's how we came to have the story. Now, talking a bit about comics and steampunk, Karen's covered a lot of sort of the literary side of things. Now, I've got a few notes. So, there are some comics with Victorian-based settings that are influenced by the history and literature of the time. Not necessarily steampunk as such, but you can, if you were to read them, you get that feel. So stories like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is one by Alan Moore. It's pretty well known, it became a movie. That's a good example. It brings together a whole bunch of literary fictional characters into basically a gang of heroes, anti-heroes. And others feature, as Karen said, historical figures quite prominently. There's one that I really like called The Amazing Scrawny Head, which is by the creator of Hellboy, which I don't know if anybody's seen the Hellboy movie or read the comic, but it has a, you know, I'm not sure as you would probably know, it's post-themed sort of fantasy, and that features Abraham Lincoln in it, and yeah, sort of like a type character in that. Another would be, there's a Batman who's even had a steampunk, believe it or not. There's a Batman called Gotham by Gaslight, which is a DC Elseworld comic. It's a really, really good read, so I'd highly recommend it. Basically, Batman comes up against Jack the Ripper, so who doesn't want to see that? And because it's an alternative history, which is part of the good thing about steampunk, we get to, creators coming up with steampunk stories, get to really make up whatever we want. We can take historical, we can take facts and turn them into fiction. We can take historical characters and use them how we want. And that's part of the fun, I think, of being a writer in the genre as well, and also part of the fun of cosplay. So a few more steampunk comics that you might want to check out. There's a webcomic book called Goldgenius that Karen mentioned. This comic has been going for about a decade. So they've done Kickstarter for it. It's really cute. Similarly to Heart of Meliera, and I swear I wasn't influenced by, it features a university, which is a very common thing in steampunk, so it's a lot cuter than Heart of Meliera. So the purpose was silly and fun, light-hearted read. There's a comic called Lady Mechanic, which is a recent comic. They actually had issues with Free Comic Book Day recently. It's very cool, and you know, I think it's quite adult. It's got horror elements, and the character, I feel, not knowing as much as you guys do, that it's more of a steampunk gothic in the way she dresses. There's lots going on. The author of that comic, his name is escaping me, actually said that he was inspired by cosplays to draw that character. So when he was trying to think of what comic can I create, he actually drew his inspiration from cosplayers, which I think is fantastic because I don't know if cosplayers realise this, but they influence a lot of where the characters in that dream up. So, which brings me to one more comic that I wanted to mention. It's another Australian steampunk comic that's been being produced really recently. It's an Australian comic by Stephen Pott, K-O-K. And he's a Sydney writer, he's a really lovely person, and he's recently kickstarted his own steampunk young adult, all ages comic. It's an adventure as well. Features everything that you want, dragons and blips. So yeah, definitely worth checking it out.
I just remembered something I just read recently in the last week or so. Look at the Lincoln Steampunk Festival that they have. They've actually started, they're going to do it next year, is they're actually getting people who are actually at the festival, getting their characters and they're actually getting them into a comic. I just can't remember.
This is the British one.
This is the Lincoln one, yeah. So you can actually follow on Facebook. They've actually placed the page and they're reading about it.
Oh, that's fantastic. When we were actually dreaming up Art of Milieu as a concept, it started off as being about a magic archaeological object that's found by a student. It was originally going to be a real world sort of science fiction story, and then we started thinking about all the things that we loved, and that's how it became eventually steampunk, which I think was a really good choice. So there are elements of the story that I wanted to bring out of all the things that I love. So I wanted sort of an Indiana Jones adventure. I also wanted a sort of Lovecraftian space monster. I wanted to have girl characters that behave just the same as the boy characters. And a co-ed school and all these sort of things. We also wanted to set it in what I call it an Australian-like setting. I don't know, is it finished? Yeah, sorry. I don't know if we can replay it because I forgot to actually put it in my slides. You probably can't see it. You've got to come have a look. We have sort of come up with the countryside. So this is some of the other places that we've created that are sort of influenced by real places but are not really real places. I think we've got an alternative world. So when researching a lot of what we wanted to do with the drawings and the artwork in this, I think we pulled up lots of historical images from Sydney University was one that we used for our university. It's the first university that was ever built. Sydney University of New South Wales. I'm not sure which one. It was perfect for the era that we wanted to look at, and we picked up a lot of actual Australian images, old photographs and pictures that we could find to base it on, rather than going with a metropolis sort of London-esque steampunk, which I think kind of sets it apart slightly, because you do get a lot of London setting or New York setting or, turn of the century's big city. We didn't want to do that, we wanted to do a different world. Setting a story in an alternative version of reality does allow us to incorporate some of the wonder of technology, the wonder of adventure and discovering new places, supposedly new places, and the sort of the sense of adventure that brings without being bound by the prejudices of the time. So we wanted to have a fantastical world, but colonialism does weigh a little bit on me, and we didn't want to gloss over history, but we thought writing a young adult story, we wanted to inject more fun, have diverse characters and themes, so that's how we tried to incorporate that, but not gloss over history. So it gives us the chance to do whatever we like with that world and have whatever combination of characters we want to have. So conceiving a steampunk story and drawing and writing it and then getting somebody to draw it for you is one thing. So when I'd obviously research and plan what I wanted to do and then leave it up to younger guys to draw these things. basically presenting her with the image and then she would have to draw it. So we publish this monthly, as we said, and we've had a little bit of a break to do a mini comic based in the same world recently, but it did mean that she was given the task of drawing a lot of buttons and goggles and buckles and over again. So that's one thing to consider if you ever want to branch out into drawing steampunk comics. Just be aware that you might have to draw that same top hat over and over again, and get the goggles on the right side, because people will pick up on continuity errors. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say on steampunk comics. So
okay, I'm not good at sitting down and talking, so I'm actually going to stand up. I think these guys have pretty much covered most of what steampunk is about. I don't think there's a lot that I can add to that. So instead I'm going to switch a little bit and just tell you a little bit about what's happening at the Adelaide Steampunk Festival in 2018. So a lot of this hasn't been put online yet, so you guys are actually going to be the first to hear a lot of this. Sorry! So the program will officially be coming out maybe end of this month when I get some time. But currently, to date, we have 26 market stalls. We have around 15 in the Artists Alley. We have Adelaide University doing Bright Sparks Science, come and try. We have Flinders University doing a virtual reality, come and try. We have Pop Club come and do a gaming carriage with tabletop as well as other games. We're also going to have a pop-up barbers. We're also going to have a live body painting. No sausage, sorry. We have about, there's going to be 3 performance areas with live music on all 3 performance areas. So some of them are going to be larger ensemble performances, some of them are going to be soloists, duos and trios, I think they're called, as well as school performances. There's going to be a free maths hunt for a free pocket watch for kids under the age of 14. And there's going to be night performances which will include belly dancing, burlesque and also live music again. We're also going to have making demonstrations as well as book presentations, oral talks, and of course there's going to be all the competitions. So there's going to be costume competitions, there's going to be beard competitions, there's going to be an art exhibition, there's going to be a sculpture exhibition, and there's more, but I can't remember it all, sorry. Yes, lots of stuff. That's a good point, isn't it? So it's the 15th and 16th of September, so Saturday 15th and Sunday 16th of September. It's mostly held at the National Railway Museum, that's during the day. However, there will be the nighttime show at Mixed Creative in Port Adelaide, and the art exhibition that is at Corked Wine Bar on Saturday evening, and will run for a week or so as well. That's all I've got to say. Cost? I have no idea. You have to pay the tickets, it's on Eventbrite, but yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's entry to the National Museum. All the competitions are free, the art exhibition is free, so it's just like you can go without paying. I said, book launches, like so I guess, unless, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask for any of the speakers? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Do you need volunteers?
I believe Pop Club is, but yes, you can come and talk to me. You can also get me on Facebook on the card. So, okay? Yeah. No, you can never have too many volunteers. Anything else? No? Okay.
Thank you so very much. It was a very informative panel. Thank you. I think we can all call ourselves adequately informed on steampunk.
sugar.